Welcome back, part two. Well, that was lovely. Okay, second half here we're going to have Kellen from Fruition. I'm feeling pretty unprepared myself. I have no idea what I'm going to play. Maybe I'll play Reverend. A lot of people ask for that. Just trying to figure out how to tie it all together. I wrote Reverend similar to Travis's experience with pumping one out before the record was done. We were making 5 Interstates with Tim Carbone, our second record with Tim, and we were doing pre-production, and he kind of pulled me aside and he was like, I feel like you have one more that we haven't heard, and we need it. And I went home and wrote Reverend. I think at the time I was listening to this Steve Earle song a lot that's got a Durango reference in it. I can't even think of what the song is. I might have hung out with Travis in Durango the time that Greensky played that Steve Earle song. But it's got this draft dodger vibe to it, or some sort of like avoidance of responsibility. And I do not like the way this guitar sounds today. Hold up. Hey, the beauty of home tour, right? So first line, yeah, if my friend Seth Bernard was over the night before, we call him Reverend. So the first line's kind of about him. And I just kind of spit this one out. Came out of me, and I didn't know what was happening or where it was coming from. There's a line in there, though, about love enough to save us. It's always been really powerful for me. My friend John's got it tattooed on his arm. So, Reverend, here it is. And then we'll have Kellen. The handsome episode will continue. Couple beers with the Reverend, am I safe from the night? More money to the system, am I freed from the fight? I left myself behind in my own town. When looking for a new place, they won't find me around. I made peace with my country, though I never could believe somebody else's struggle is the reason that I flee. There's none there to miss me, they never thought I'd go. So many things about me nobody seems to know. Can you carry more if you leave me bare? What's left to take? Whose lives gone there? in my hands to bear a burden, the weight I can't overcome. There are reasons I worry, there are answers I fear. Is there love enough to save us, and will it find us out here? Can you carry more if you leave me there? What's left to take? Whose lives come last? I counted my fortunes with time left to spare. My doubts all outnumbered, regardless of what's fair. I need to find a way to carry myself through the day. Let grief lie behind me and learn to look away. Yeah. Reverend. All right, thanks y'all for the kind words there. Let's get Kellen up in this party. Talk about some Fruition songs. Where you at, Kellen? Did you request to join me? There you are.
Lots of people are requesting to join. Maybe we should have a special guest stranger sometime. Hey, man.
Hi.
Oh, you're outside. That looks nice.
I'm outside. I hope that sounds okay on the stream.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
There might be a barking dog or a passing car from time to time, but you can hear me all right, right?
We can hear you great. You sound awesome.
Awesome. I love that song.
Thanks.
I was thinking about I don't know if it was the first time we toured together, but one of the first times I sat in with you guys, we played Reggae Reverend.
Oh, yeah. And did you play keys?
I played keys on it. And it was like, it's really stressful. Even though it was really easy because it's just reggae keys, just like, kunk, 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 you know, but I don't usually sit in, you know, I'm an acoustic rhythm guitarist. So like sitting in at that point, especially, was very new to me and very nerve wracking.
Was that the first tour that you had keys on?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot today because I was listening to a lot of older stuff that I haven't heard in a while and thinking a lot about just how your writing style has evolved throughout the years I've known you and then considering like what adding keys, what effect that had. And for the people following along who don't know, Fruition was on tour with us for, I think we did like 40 dates or something like that
It was
fall.
a lot. It was a lot. It
And
was amazing.
did you slam your hand in the car door?
Um, so actually, so it was like right before we went on that tour, I was at a place in Oregon called Naked Falls. I wasn't naked. I wish I was now. In retrospect, I would give anything to be back there right now. Um,
Hey, this
but
in
I
this
was ju-
songwriter show, we are not bound to the truth. So if it makes a better story for you to be naked, you feel free to
okay.
just embellish and lie to your heart's content.
Oh, we'll just go with Speedos. We're in Speedos. Everyone was in Speedos everywhere, neon. But I was jumping off a rope swing that was like attached to this bridge. And it turns out my upper body strength is not what I thought it was. And like get on the rope swing and go to swing and then like fucking fuck it up. And the rope got caught on my finger and kind of like, as you can see, it's still pretty messed up. But that was right before we left for tour. And so we've been talking about adding keys to the band. And it was way easier to play a keyboard than it was to play a guitar for me at that point. So we brought some keys along, and then now I play keys like 90% of the show.
You learned so fast. I don't know, like what was your piano knowledge like before that
We
or
grew up.
experience?
An old piano in my house growing up, so I plunked around on that a bunch as a kid. And then my parents put me in lessons when I was really young, which I hated, by the way. I hated lessons. God. I just wasn't good. My practice ethic still is not good, but it was especially bad then. Like I would basically just memorize up here, like what the teacher was doing when she'd play a song. I just memorized what it sounded like and kind of work my way through the sheet music. And then once she came back the next week, I would just kind of look at the sheet music and pretend I was reading along
But you're just playing
and
by ear.
do it that way. Yeah, so that's been my whole shtick. But
But
yeah,
you had
I
a little
picked.
bit of framework for like as far as
Yeah,
like when you're supposed to shift your hand position and stuff
yeah,
like that.
I picked up, and luckily a lot of that muscle memory stayed throughout my life. Is just, as far as just like when you do a scale, when you're gonna like tuck your thumb under and start your hand over, type of thing. That stuff. And everyone does it differently. But yeah, I got lucky there. I think.
Yeah, piano's like the instrument that they talk about how you have to. I feel like you hear the most about how you have to learn piano right. Because like I took some piano courses in college because I had to. So every time I play my piano upstairs, I think about how I'm not playing it right. I know well enough how to play it right that I'm aware that I'm not doing it. Uh, so
I,
at
I
least you had that groundwork to stand on
I
when you decided to add keys to tour for 40 days.
I think that there's some merit to that, but I think that like any of those rules, they are meant to be broken. Like God, Jay is not a trained from Fruition. Jacob is not a trained pianist, keyboarder at all. But like the stuff that he picks out on the keys is stuff that I would never think of because he doesn't have that like set of rules lying underneath. That like this is the way my fingers have to go. This is what this chord is going to make or whatever. Like it's just like it's more of experimental, and I love show. I feel like that's how you come up with some of the most unique stuff is not having those
Yeah,
rules.
your creativity is not necessarily tied to the ergonomics of how to play correctly.
Right.
Well, I just like going back and listening to old songs and stuff like What Is It and Division Street from that first album,
Yeah.
and then thinking about like the new album with Where Can I Turn and Sweet Hereafter, like how your style of writing has just like evolved in this way.
They're
And
different.
I was curious to ask you if the keys, you feel like the keys kind of brought out some of that soul R&B vibe, and it was always there, or if you're like listening and your musical ear just has changed over the years.
I think it's always kind of been there. It's just been a matter of me like developing the tools to be able to like actually write those songs, to have like the theoretical ideas to do that, to pull that off. Because I've listened to like R&B and neo soul and classic soul and stuff my whole life, and that's always what I've like what's resounded with me the most. But that's not like necessarily easy stuff to just pick up and go with. Although both of those songs that you mentioned are pretty straightforward as far as the chord progressions go. But
Man,
yeah, I think
they're so cool. It's like this thing that I always talk about with everybody is like the simple stuff is harder to write because you have to. It's what everybody wants to hear. This musical thing that's embedded in our minds of like the chord progression you expect to hear. But like, how do you creatively own something simple?
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
like Sweet Hereafter. That is just like soul groove. It's almost like a man. I was listening to Chet Faker for a while, a couple years back. It's like this groove thing. It's so good, man. It's so good.
Um, that guy started going by his real name recently, I've heard. Um,
Yeah, he
but
does.
yeah, no, I think that song "Sweet Hereafter" is like the first song that I've written that like I would I would put on and listen to, like if it wasn't my song, like you know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah,
were talking, you and Travis were talking about like, oh, this is the first record that we put out that I like actually like or whatever. Like that's the first song that I put out. That's like this is my shit. Like this is the kind of shit that I like and that I would listen to if it wasn't me. I'm still not gonna like put it on and listen to it, but if
you
I
should, man. It's
was,
okay.
if I was, that would be the tune that kind of like finally broke that through that level for me.
That's a weird concept that you somehow. I feel the same way sometimes that I'm not like necessarily writing like the stuff I listen to. I'm heavily influenced by what I like, but
Yeah,
I write. I creatively express myself differently than I satisfy myself musically.
totally.
And as you write longer and longer, that separation gets like looser, you
Yeah,
know?
a little blurrier lines.
Yeah,
And like
like those.
thinking back, there's been other songs where I finish and I'm like, damn, that's good. I love that song, but I still wouldn't necessarily like turn it on in my house full blast and bump it. You know, like it's a difference.
Yeah, What You Need is my Green Sky song like that. I love that song so much. I love playing it. I love listening to it. I'm
Yes,
really proud of my studio solo on it. It's nice. It's a nice feeling, right?
it's nice. It's nice to be able to be proud of what you did in the studio because that's something that so often trips me up. Is like you do take after take, and like maybe everyone else says that was great, and you maybe in the moment you're like, okay, I think I nailed that one, and then you listen back on the record and you're like, God, I know I could have done that better, or I wish I would have changed this line, or like I'm gonna quit music altogether. You know, like whatever it is, it's just like,
Yeah,
so it's nice to actually feel that confidence and that pride of being like, this was good. I put my best foot forward and it worked.
yeah. Well, just for the record, I think that all your songs are great and have worked because I listened to them all today. But I know that feeling. So much of creativity is about commitment, and like when you're writing a song, hopefully your creative impulse is never satisfied. Like
True.
hopefully when you finish every song, you think in the back of your mind like I have more to give.
Yeah,
That's a positive thing, I think. But it's
that's a
also
good
like
perspective.
it's also hard to find. At some point, you commit and print the record, and like that's what the song is today.
Yeah, I've gotten more okay with that, especially these last couple things that we put out, because they're on a time constraint. Like we only had these 4 days to pull off this stuff, so it's like it's not so much like convincing yourself that it's good because maybe it's not good, but it's being okay with letting go of like full control
Yeah,
and of like letting go of your ego and being able to listen to it with objective ears and just put it out like this is a moment in time. Here it is. It's recorded, and here you go.
yeah. Do you what's your experience like when you go back and listen to? Because I think that maybe your band is different than a lot of bands. The band has changed and evolved a lot. So your songwriting has been, like you said, you developed the tools. I don't know that Sweet Hereafter would have worked when you guys were busking it hardly strictly, like,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
I guess I was kind of surprised how much like gypsy jazz vibe there is in your songs, the old ones, because I imagine that in Jay, and I've heard it all along, like it never went away. Uh, but with some of those old songs of yours, which I love, what's it like when you go back and listen to those? Like, are those like old creative ideas that you aren't using anymore, or
Um,
do you feel a shift in your writing like that?
I think you hit on something there with the busking part, is that like a lot of the old stuff, well, for starters, was I was writing it on guitar, but also was writing it more with busking in mind and like with an acoustic band in mind, where like like as a rhythm guitarist, like, but like you said gypsy jazz, like a lot of my old stuff is like chunk 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 chunk, you know. So
Hmm.
that that so has so much drive that you need when you don't have a drum set, which you know very well.
Very well.
So like those earlier tunes that you're mentioning are like, you know, I was a drum set. Like we were the drum set. So like that definitely influenced the writing a ton. And I guess as far as moving away from it, uh, or just evolving, it's just kind of like as I got older and more experienced, and as my technical skills got slightly better, they really haven't got that much better over the years. But just like that was like that's what I knew. I did what I knew. So as I know more things, I want to do all of those things. But people are always asking me to play those songs, and I think a lot of it is just that they drive. They've got this bouncy, you know, lightness to them.
Yeah, you guys do still play some of those old songs. As I was going back and listening to a lot of them, you play a lot of them. That creative process is linear. I feel the same way, even though I think I still kind of write songs the same in a lot of ways that I have always. But as far as all the other songwriters I've had on here, you feel more changed over time to me. But then I go back and listen to those old ones that are kind of that gypsy swing drumless thing, and you still sing with that R&B soulful, like your voice is the same.
Yeah,
It's just that the
yeah,
accompaniment and like the vehicle to get it out of you has like evolved and grown.
it has. And I was thinking about this when you and Travis were talking about uh, like shit. What was I thinking about? I lost my train. My roommate's dog is like over here walking in the sunshine, and she's really cute, and I just totally lost my train of thought. Um, but I don't like I don't listen to a ton of different music. Like I know what I like, and I listen to what I like, and like that affects my songwriting in an interesting way. In that like I'm not pulling from a lot of other shit besides just like my head. So like my style throughout the years has been my own, and maybe like hasn't changed in a lot of way. Like you said, the vocal timbres type stuff, the soulfulness hasn't changed that much, besides just like a, you know, expected as I get older type of growth. But yeah, there's something about I don't know. I just don't write normal sounding songs.
They're really creative, like and we were talking about
For better or
Sweet
for worse.
Sweet Hereafter being sort of like a simple groove thing, but like Turn to Dust too, and some of these other like really creative chord progressions and stuff. Your band, it just blows my mind, and I always tell you and tell Jay and tell Mimi, you guys, I love the way that three of you write together and sing together. It's so cool.
Me too, man.
Um,
I
before we
miss it a lot.
before we blab on and on, why don't you play us a song and then we'll blab on and on again?
Okay, let's sing and blab. I'm gonna unplug the headphones here.
Yep.
There we go. When I was talking to Paul, can you hear me?
Yep.
When I was talking to Paul about this last night, he asked me to play some piano. So I actually brought my guitar and a little piano out onto the porch here. But I'm gonna play one on guitar, and then the other one will be on piano. Battery powered piano.
Love it, dude.
Does that sound all right? Okay, this one's called Eraser. It goes like this. Why can't I erase you, she said. I could use free space in my head. I need an empty place in your stead. If there was something real, your hold on my heart's not fair. I often wish that it was never there. I can't erase what she shared. I just wanna feel better. Feel better. Feel better. Yeah. So I took off walking today, trying to send these thoughts on their way. Some of them were destined to stay, to let you know they're real. Ha. People lock themselves up inside. People hang their heads down and cry. People fall to the left and to the right. They're all trying to heal. The pain in your heart's not fair. It don't have to be yours alone to bear. Let us not erase what we share. And together we're gonna feel better. Feel better. Feel better. Feel better. How can I embrace this, you say? I can't help but while time away. Hold on, brother, it's a brand new day. Let it help you heal.
Woo. Man, oh, that was really moving me. I love simple stuff. There's a couple that you have. I just want to feel better. Like,
Seems like a pretty simple request.
Yeah, I mean, forgive me for oversimplifying, but I don't think anyone writes that song lyric and is like, "Wow, that's the best lyric I ever wrote." But then then the delivery of it is just like so powerful. Or "I see you when I'm looking at you." I also really like something simple like that can suggest so much. Like, I just want to feel better. Like, meaning you don't feel good. It suggests so much. You don't feel good enough. Or you have hope, or you don't have hope. There's like that simple statement that makes me think so many things at once. Yeah. And then I'm getting all emotional over here, and he's talking about being locked in the house. And
yeah, that one has taken on new meaning in these times too. Like, you guys were talking about how you write something one way at first, and then later on it starts to make even more sense, or like starts to be less cheesy or whatever. Like, that one has become even more personal over time, yet more like it makes sense for everybody, because when I first read it, it's obviously very personal. Like, I didn't feel good and I wanted to feel better. It seemed like a pretty simple desire that everyone could relate to.
Yeah, and by singing that, you invite your fans and people at your show to sing with you. So you're like this is what Travis and I were talking about. Like, the music is the spiritual coach. You're singing it and you know, emoting that feeling, and then your people in the crowd are singing it, and then they're feeling it, and you're giving them their voice. That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
What's your lyrical influence, like other songwriters that you grew up with, or things you read, or where do you feel like your lyrics come from?
A lot of the time it's like a single sentence, whether it's something I read in a book or hear in a conversation or like hear in another song and kind of revise or appropriate in my own way. Like that song, I was actually thinking about when I wrote that song, I was like having an intense conversation with a former, partner, and they said something to the effect of like, I can't erase you, like, and I want to. And that fucking hit me like a ton of bricks. Like,
Yeah,
like
that's hard to hear.
that they, at that moment in our lives, in their life, like the best thing in their mind would be to erase our history completely. And it's just like, wow, that fucking shook me. But then at the same time that they said that, I remember in my head being like, damn, that's a good song lyric. Like, I know that that's not, a specific thing to happen to me. Like, that's a lot of songwriters will be in like maybe some of the most intense situations, and be like, shit, I got to write this down. Or like, yeah, it reminds me of, in the movie Walk Hard, like he's like, it's early on in the movie. It's before he writes Walk Hard, and his like wife is in the kitchen with like 7 kids, and she's trying to make breakfast, and he's like has his guitar and he's about to bounce, and she's like, Dewey Cox, if you go now, you better walk hard, or something like that. And he's like, I got it, walk hard. And she's like, you better not make this into a song. And like, I can't stop thinking about that when I think about that song, because like I'm going through this emotional breakup, like heart-wrenching moment. I'm like, I can't erase. Why can't I erase this? That's good. I'm gonna take that.
Yeah, I've
So
certainly done that.
my process is like that a lot of times. Like one profound, seemingly like, whether it's just a clever line or if it's something that like just hits me, strums my heart chords, and then I'll just write a whole song around this one thing I think is great.
Yeah, I love that concept. I do the same sort of thing too, just and explore it from different angles. It's like that thing they say about to be a better communicator, you need to learn to be a better listener.
Yeah.
There's something similar with songwriting too. Like if you learn to listen to the world around you,
Right.
You'll find there's plenty to write about from without yourself.
Endless.
Not just within yourself. It's not all, I'm so sad and I want to tell you about it. Like,
right.
Or vice versa. It's some expression you overhear.
Yeah. And
Duvall gives me a lot of those too. Like, I know everything for all I know, or it's not enough to feel it. Then I'm like, oh, that's a song. I'm gonna write it.
And that's just something that he said like in passing.
Yeah, he's got a couple first lines of several of my songs. It's not enough to feel it. It needs to overwhelm you. He said something to the effect of that. I won't mention in reference to what. And then he also said, I know everything for all that I know.
Brilliant.
Which I just loved.
I love that. Ricky Lightning, ladies and gentlemen.
Leanne's watching.
It's okay. She's laugh crying apparently, so we're good.
So your writing process for you now, are you writing on the guitar sometimes and the keyboard? Are you writing songs on both simultaneously?
Both. Like right now, it took me a while to even like pick up an instrument, honestly, when we went into full lockdown. Like I was not feeling that pull like a lot of people do. I kind of had to force myself, and the first couple of times it was like I was drunk and like coming down to my basement like, all right, guitar, get over here, you old son of a bitch, let's see what you got. Like just like whatever. But like every time, and maybe I'm jinxing this, but every time I pick up a guitar or sit down at the piano, like if I just don't think too much, I find something new or something old that I forgot or whatever. If it's just a little lick or a chord voicing that I've never heard myself play before. And so I have a ton of voice memos that are just these starts that, whether they're a riff or a progression or a single line, I haven't really been able to finish anything, which is not a new phenomenon for me. I don't write that many songs, Paul. I write.
Yeah, your process sounds so similar to mine in so many ways. Like the one line, the voice memos too, and then sometimes to motivate myself, I'll just sit down and like go through the voice memos.
Yep.
And then hear something and be like, "What the hell is that?" And then relearn how to play it.
Yeah, which can be a pain in the ass sometimes. Like, how did I play that?
Yeah, or often I'll like listen to the voice memo, like there'll be one I like, and I'll listen to it a bunch of times without an instrument, and I'll be like, "What even is that?" And then and then I pick a guitar up and I can play it without even knowing what it is, because it was birthed from this something, you know. Like,
your brain's like, "Don't worry, Paul. I got you. I'll tell your hands what to do."
Yeah, and I'm not a finisher either. Like I said too about songs like sort of never being done. I kind of like the idea of just never being done with them. Even when we record them, I hope that I somehow figure out a way to improve them all later. But I get songs, even farthest I usually will ever get them when I bring them to the band is 3/4. And then I feel like I need to hear the band play it and see where it's going.
See where
is it becoming
give it some legs.
Yeah, like and then I would like write some hooks around the melodies, and then like get a texture, and then once I hear all that, then I can finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
it helps to have a crew like that you like love how their minds work, that you can trust to be like, here's what I have, like, let's see where this goes. Yeah, it is similar for me. Like I'll have something most of the way done and be like, what does this need? Or like, like, I don't know, this song hasn't found its home yet. And having a crew like that can really help tie the room together. And just recently, like, I finally started fucking letting excuse my language if there's any babies watching. I finally started, like, even with like these voice memos that are just a riff, being like, hey, taking it to Jay and Mimi, and to Tyler and Jeff too, and just be like, hey, I have this riff, or I have just this chord progression, like, here. Instead of being like, oh no, I'm gonna
finish this myself.
I'm gonna finish this, so this is my song. Like, I made this idea, which is, life is too short to be that protective about like a riff on a voice memo on my phone. So
Donegan and I just recently were talking about that same thing. There's like, it's such a delicate thing. Creativity is so delicate and fragile that you're like, we're greedy. Like I'm not a good co-writer like that too, because if the idea is good enough to share, then it's good enough for me to finish. You know,
one would think.
But
at least I've convinced myself that. But
yeah,
so much, so often, like the greater than the sum of your parts thing really is what makes like some next level gold. If you think of Lennon and McCartney, like, it's like, yeah, they wrote amazing shit by themselves, but so often it'd be like Paul comes in with a chorus and John writes verses, and then it's like, holy shit, like, this Beatles song, you know?
The finisher. Yeah. Jay talked about the last record, or the two sides to the last record, that you guys co-wrote a bit more than you ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of went that way. You were surrendering small ideas, and then everyone was like, oh, I like that. And then what about if this was added?
Yep.
That's cool. The result is awesome.
I think it's something that our band has like needed. I don't know if needed, but like has been going towards eventually letting that happen and letting it be more collaborative, because it's always been collaborative, but like actually from the skeleton of the song, like letting it be collaborative from there, so that it's like, you know, co-writes and just that much more unique, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the bands I've been talking to, it's the same way. The Dusters, so with us, it's the same way, more and more. You know, and after you've been a band for so long too, it's like I'm already writing to my band's ideas anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. I'm creating a part where Anders is going to do this thing that I know he'll want to do, and why not just write it together? Or I'm writing some loose chord structure thing that I'm hoping Duvall will add some unique, simple modification to. So why not just do that together? But
right. And then I think what's really cool about that is that eventually, hopefully, people will hear those songs and be like, maybe can't tell that it's a Paul song or it's a, you know, Duvall song or whatever. Like, it just sounds like a Green Sky song.
Yeah,
And
I had that
to me, it's
experience
like
today
an
listening to your
ultimate.
band.
All right. You thought it was a
Yeah.
Green Sky song?
Yes, that's what I thought. No, I couldn't. A couple times I couldn't tell because you're always all singing, and so often the indicator of who wrote the song is who sings it,
Yeah.
which isn't always the case. But yeah, I'm like, which one of their songs is this? And I've heard it so many times, it's just like this part of my brain that I don't think about.
All right. It's working out then.
Yeah, man. Play us another song, will you?
Yeah. It's going to be weird. I'm not sure how it's going to sound.
I love weird.
On the stream, but I have my piano here on my lap, and I loaded up with some fresh AA batteries so that, all right, works.
Oh, it sounds good.
Let's see. Hear that all right?
Yeah.
Cool. I played this one last week when I did a little streaming thing from the Fruition page, but this one kind of popped back into my general consciousness because since quarantine started, like one of the main slogan and hashtags has been Alone Together, and this song is called Alone Together. I wrote it last year. It's not about quarantine. But yeah, it goes like this. Lost another good one today. Seems every day we say the same. And now I feel like I wanna go too. But then I ran into you. Man, you were feeling that same feeling. You didn't have to say a thing. There's nothing you can do. No colorful words will bring back our friends and lovers. Please just hold me and I will hold you. We all die alone together and fall apart on our own. I can't promise it'll get any better. I can make you feel less alone. There is something I gotta say to you. I can't do this on my own. I thought that I could rise to the occasion. Lord, I should have known. Should have known that you had my back from day one. Even if you knew I was always on the run. Now I'm not running from, I'm running to. Thank God I ran into you. 'Cause we all die alone together and fall apart on our own. Yeah. I can't promise it'll get any better, any better. I can make you feel less alone. 'cause we're all alone. No. And in that way, we're all the same. We all die alone together and fall apart on our own. I can't promise it'll get any better. Yeah, I can make you feel less alone.
That was nice. The piano sounded great, man. That's so powerful, that chord before the chorus where you sit and the melody. It's
That's my
really
that's my favorite part of the song.
Oh, goosebumps,
That
man.
the B flat with the F bass and then the F with the F bass. It's got a nice, peaceful, easy feeling to it.
It's good. You got another one of those like catch of phrases in there too, but even though it's relevant now, but like about us, you're not alone, we're all alone.
Yeah. And so in that way, we're all the same. Like,
yeah, you can endlessly think about that. That's the kind of stuff I just love so much. Like everybody loves a really brilliant metaphor, but something like that just is so simple that you hear all the time or think about. You can think about it endlessly and apply it to so many things. You're a great songwriter, man.
Thank you, Paul. That means a lot coming from you. It really, really does. You're one of the greatest.
No, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I've always I got kind of nervous watching you and Travis talk, just because you guys are both very well-spoken dudes with a great vocabulary and just like a presence that's confident and articulate, eloquent. And I don't have that many words a lot of time. It shows in my songwriting. You'll open a lyric booklet of like my song, and then you'll see a Jay song, and it's like my song is like this little thing that's repeated twice, and that's the whole thing. And then Jay's like I have always been one to kind of simplify things.
Well, I think you explained that very well, and just defied what you were saying.
That was pretty eloquently said.
I feel the same way. Like sometimes I wonder, and also never want to see like the vocabulary analysis of all my songwritings.
Your songwritings is good, boy.
Oh, my writings is good. There are words I just like to use a lot. Hands, fear, whatever.
So I have a question for you, and this is something I've tried. Like someone pointed out to me probably 20 years ago, like when I was first like writing songs and like pasting song lyrics into my instant messenger profile and stuff. Like someone pointed out like how monotonous or boring it is when someone starts every song or every line of a song with I. Like me, it's all I did this, I feel this way, I did blah blah blah. And like with each passing song that I write, each album and each year that I get older, I'm like trying to move away from that, even if it's just like creative ways of still talking about myself. But like trying not, when we're speaking about like if you were to see a vocabulary breakdown of all your shit, like I still can't move away from it. I'm wondering how you feel about that.
I kind of do that when I write. I think about if I'm writing, like starting phrases the same. I think that I don't write from an I perspective very often. I more often like I write from a what if perspective a lot. Like, what if this is that and nothing is that, or perhaps this then that, and it's and I don't write third person very often either. Like if I'm writing the story of someone else or imagining myself from the outside, I'll more often imagine someone else from my perspective and then write from first person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be writing about someone else, not myself, or some other experience. And I think that's powerful for a listener, because when they sing along, then they're singing, I just want to feel better.
Yeah.
And it's about them, not you anymore, which is really interesting to think. Like if you were writing from third person about some guy and you were like, he just wants to feel better, like that wouldn't be as nearly as powerful for everyone to sing along with you.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. It's interesting to think about. In part of my editing process is that when I'm writing now, I try to not edit too much as the idea is coming out, because I don't want to like stomp out the fire before it's lit.
Sure.
But then when I edit, I go back and I'm like, oh, I use this word in every phrase.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times it's what if. That's like hypothetical scenarios. Like,
I love that.
What if love is not the answer? What if this is that?
Sorrow swim. Got it.
Yeah, what if sorrow swim?
Love that line.
Was that the record that we were touring when we did that big long? No, because I hadn't written Burn Them yet. Jay and I talked about this. So I think we must have been on Handguns tour. And you guys had
that sounds right.
just made the record before Labor of Love. Before Labor of Love.
Well,
Something the Night?
Just one of them nights would have been, yeah, that makes sense. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Doesn't it? Hey, you want to get together in a van and to go on tour for 40 days together again sometime soon?
Yes, 100%. Yes. I honestly, like, today, so after our tour got canceled for everybody, I drove our van from Louisville, Kentucky back to Portland. And that was over a month ago now. That was the last time I was behind the wheel of a motor vehicle. And just today, I borrowed my roommate's car to go do some errands. And I realized how much I miss driving. I miss being in a van. I know that you're, in a slightly bigger van than ours these days, but like there's something romantic about it, even as uncomfortable as it may get. Obviously, I'm looking through it with rose-colored lenses now because I can't have it. But damn, I miss that. So yes, the answer is yes, 1,000 times yes. Let's go on a 40-date Econoline van tour.
Econoline van tour. All the writers on here talk about the road and the car being a place where they write. I think there's some kind of paradox between doing nothing but also accomplishing something at the same time. Like you're just sitting there you're obviously driving, you're doing something, or you're just riding. But it's like if I'm at home and I'm just sitting on my couch, I'm not doing anything. But if I'm just like chilling in the back of the tour bus or chilling in the passenger seat while you're driving, like we're doing something, we're getting from A to B.
Progress happening.
So your thoughts are like allowed to mingle in a way where there's not this pressure on getting something done because you're traveling.
You are doing something. Totally.
Well, it's been great having you, man. It's been good seeing you.
It's so nice to see you too, man. Really, really is.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to a lot of your songs today before and during this conversation. So keep doing it, man. I wish you the best.
Thank you, buddy. I love you so much. Are you going to play more, or is this the end?
I wasn't going to play another one, but I think I am. I'm feeling kind of like inspired.
Very cool. Well, I'll close out my bottom half of the screen here and hang.
I'm going to play one more.
Love you. Love you all.
Love you.
Peace.
Love you too, man. Thanks, Kellen.
Okay, I'm going to play one more. I wasn't going to, but like I said, I'm very unprepared, so I'm just winging it here. Hopefully I know how to play it since I didn't run it. I'm going to play the song I was talking about, Hold On. Seems like a good way to leave us to Hold On and Hope for the Best. There's been some sort of emotionally heavy material today. At least I feel that way. Maybe it's because I played a show last night and didn't get to hug you all after. In the moment, it was so satisfying, but just I found myself longing still. So hold on. Credit to Duvall for this first line. Thanks, buddy. Miss you. I'm going to play the new version. That's the way I play it now. There's always two sides to the way both of the stories go. Sometimes things better left unspoken should be shouted, written down, and quoted. These hands can't hold the time. Better use them wisely while they still are mine. Hold on and hope for the best. Hold on and hope for the best. Seems like voices that are singing to me all come from you to tell me the things I couldn't see. And when my eyes have awoken to the things I've broken, I'll be gone, distracted by something else. These hands can't hold the time. Better use them wisely while they still are mine. Hold on and hope for the best. Hold on and hope for the best. I think I'll pause here a while instead to reflect on what I've done and the things I never said. When I'm good with the bottom, I'll continue down the way that I started. These hands can't hold the time. Better use them wisely while they still are mine. Hold on and hope for the best. Hold on and hope for the best. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Gonna settle down slowly. Night falls rowdy in the air. Haven't seen enough sunrises. Don't have time to forget. Crazy blast to each morning. It rains against time. We'll be barking with the darkness in the back of your mind. Shouldn't be waiting for the clear sign to make the move. While these suburban bodies walk the moments that we lose, holding fast against the day, like photographs that steal the words away. It's going to cut me off in 10 seconds. I guess I won't play two more. Take care, y'all. I'll see you next week. Sending all love. Thanks to Travis and Kellen.